Welcome everyone to the warm heart of Africa. We are coming to you live from the farm here in Namikango village just outside of Zomba. And we are so excited that you have chosen to attend our first ever live broadcast. So this is exciting. So we want to just start by thanking you for coming out today. We know you got up early. We know you're busy, but you've chosen to come and be with us. So I don't even know that our words could show enough gratitude for your support, your encouragement, not only this morning, but over all these years. God has done amazing things as He's connected us together in partnership through this farm. And we just want to say thank you for joining us this morning. And again, it may be morning where you are, but here in Africa, it's about 5 p.m. The sun is about to set. It is gorgeous and spectacular out here, and we can't wait to show you around and show you what God is doing. So this is my husband, Chris. Most of you know him as Lovey, and he will be speaking with you very shortly. And this is our ministry partner, Ross Fleshman. So Ross, maybe people don't know you. So why don't you take a minute to tell us who you are and what you do around here or where you're coming from.
Thanks, Joni. My name is Ross Fleshman. I was sent out from Dublin Baptist Church in Columbus, Ohio, 3 years ago to serve here on the farm with Chris and Joni, and it's been nothing but a pleasure and a blessing for me to be a part of. We are here at a beautiful time of year. This is coming towards the end of our rainy season. Everything is green and lush and is maturing, and it's a very exciting time for us to be out here. So we're looking forward to showing you around our acreage here, and look forward to sharing more about this. So, Chris, I'm sure most people know who you are, but why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, just in case they don't.
Well, as my lovey said, I'm Chris, and together the three of us run this farm, and we're blessed beyond belief to be here. And so we are so excited today because this is the first time we've been able to connect live America with our people in Malawi. We're so excited to do that. The technology we thank God for. We give a little credit to Elon Musk as well because we're able to use Starlink here. And so we're excited to show you around. Now you may be able to hear they're singing because when you approach for the first time, this is a tradition in the village for welcoming you. So as we approach, you're going to be hearing our workers. They've all assembled together. They wanted to sing a traditional African song as a way of greeting you. So just enjoy their singing as we approach, and you'll get to meet our staff. All right, thank you guys for the beautiful singing. We wanted you to hear that, to hear what a traditional African welcome sounds like. So what I want to do is the people sitting here are our part-time workers that help us out, and in the back row is our full-time workers. So what I wanted to do is introduce you to our full-time staff so you get to meet them and understand what they're doing. You know my lovey, this is Levi. This is Peter. Peter is our deputy program manager, farm manager, and in charge of our bananas. This is Patrick. Patrick's in charge of security, and he's one of the sales managers. This is Francis. Francis is running our grain program right now, as well as our compost making. This is Mr. Galinga. Mr. Galinga is campus operations, so he's responsible for keeping the campus in good shape. And over here, we have Wallace Kasima, who is our farm manager. He's responsible for running the farm. This is wonderful. He is our tomato department manager. And we have Mr. Diego. Diego is our irrigation manager. And we have Mr. Katebwe. We call him Mr. Deacon Chair. He's responsible for our demonstration and training facility. This is Wyson. Wyson is responsible for our banana orchard. This is Johan. Johan is responsible for being our gardener and keeping all of the trimming and all of our shrubs looking nice. This is Fortune. Fortune works in our production processing center, and you will see that later. This is Likalini. She helps with our tomatoes, working with Wonderful. This is Lonnie. She is our cook. She takes care of cooking for our lunch program. This is Ruthie. She runs our nursery at the farm where we do all our seed planting. This is Maggie. Maggie is responsible also and works in the sales office, and Maggie actually lives on the campus. This is Jennifer. Jennifer helps us at the house. And this is my Pakalani. She also helps us at our house. So I wanted to take that time and introduce you to those folks. And then, so what we do is the full-time workers are on payroll, but the part-time workers we hire depending on what's going on at the farm. Sometimes we'll hire 60 to 80 people at a time, depending on what we need. So we do it on Monday mornings, and we make a hiring decision, and then these folks will come on. Many of them have been with us for a very long time, and we'll hear some testimonies from them later. But what I wanted to do now is I wanted to I wanted you to hear two testimonies from some of our key employees here, and so I'm going to sit here and we're going to chat with these guys for a minute. Okay, so I want to speak first with Wallace Kasima, our farm manager. Wallace had told me that he really wanted to be able to express his gratitude and thanksgiving for all of the investors that have trusted us and invested in us all these years. So he has asked if he could actually, on behalf of the whole farm, offer up a Thanksgiving. So Wallace, you had asked me to be able to present to the people, so I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance to do that.
Yeah, actually, thank you there, please. On behalf of the whole entire team of Road to Limited and the Peacemakers, as Chris has likely said, I would like on their behalf send my great gratitude towards you for your support that has been untireless for all these years. Indeed, your support has really changed the lives of many people, including myself as well as the whole entire staff. I think on behalf of the Peacemakers on their own, I would also really appreciate the support you're giving to them, more especially like this year where we are facing a lot of problems. So they are just very thankful for your support, really indeed.
Okay, so Wallace, what you had just mentioned about the hiring of the peace workers, I mentioned it earlier. Why don't you give us an idea of that process and how we go about that every week, hiring and selecting the people and how far that is they travel sometimes to work here?
Just to say how the process goes on, I think the hiring process these days is coming so hard. Unlike in the past, we used to have very few people, but now this time I think we're having a lot of people that are showing up on every day in the morning. And it's hard again to say who is going to work today because sometimes we are limited with the work we have. However, we are trying all our best to hire some. Actually, we normally hire depending on the activities we have on that particular day. But so far, we hire maybe 30, 40, 50, 60, even 70 people in a day. And then it becomes hard for those that have not been hired because these people solely, they are depending on what they get. It's like hand to mouth. Once they get something, they go back home, they buy food, and they eat on that particular day. And if we hire 30 people, it means we are feeding about 300 people. So if we send back maybe 50 people, it means most of the families then are affected. So the hiring process is becoming difficult. However, we are trying our best to hire these people. So it's really becoming hard to hire every person.
So, Wallace, how far have we seen people travel in some cases to get here for a job?
As I've already said that we are facing a lot of problems. I think some of the people are traveling long distances to come here, maybe 10, 15, 20 kilometers from their home to come here.
And how long would it take them to ride a bike or walk that way?
Sometimes it takes, maybe if it's a bike, if they are coming from a long distance, it's maybe they might cycle maybe for an hour, even 2 hours to come to this place.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing with us on how that process works. Wonder, you've been with us for a while. You were here, you had a pause, and then it came back. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your story and where you began? Because I believe you began in an orphanage in the South, right?
Yeah, so I was raised by an orphanage run by some Canadians down south in Sanji. They received me when I was 5 years after my parents had passed. So they raised me till I was like 18. But I was there for almost 15, 18 years. Yes.
Okay. And so I know that when you were growing up, you went to school with them, but you had a certain interest in a particular field of an occupation. What is it that it was really something you had a passion for, even early on?
Yeah, so I remember from the time I was really young, I've always had a passion for farming. I've always wanted to learn farming, to be able to train people, to be able to teach people, because it's very difficult from the area where I've grown up. People usually grow millet and sorghum, and we can hardly grow maize. So it has always been my desire to learn about farming so that I manage it, and then I can train other people so that we can grow maize and be able to feed people down in the South here.
So explain a little bit then about what your job is now and how you can influence other people.
Yeah, so I'm in charge of the tomatoes along with a colleague of mine, but I have the chance to have a hands-on training with everything else going on the farm. We grow maize, we grow soya, we grow onions. So I'm having a chance to learn about all of this so that at a later date, I might be able to apply some of it and even train other people as well.
All right. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now we're going to interview 3 more of our employees. Now, these folks don't speak English. So we've asked Molly to come along, and she is going to do some translating for us. So Molly, thanks for that. So we're going to ask questions, and then we'll let you interpret what she says. So first of all, why don't you introduce yourself to us, and how long have you been working here at the farm?
Muli bwanji mai?
Ndili bwino inu muli bwanji?
Ndili bwino. Mutiuzeko dzina lanu komanso inuyo mwagwira ntchito ku farm kuno kuyambira liti?
Ineyo ndi mayi Bonongwe. Ndagwira ntchito ku farm ya L2 kuchokera 2019. Kufikira lero ndithu ndakhapo zaka zichulukirapo.
So this is Mrs. Bonongwe. She's been working at the farm at L2 Limited since 2019 up to today.
And since you started back in 2019, what kind of changes have you seen here at the farm and even in the Namikango village?
Inuyo kuyambira nthawi yomwe munayamba kugwira ntchito ku farm kuno mwaona zinthu zasintha motani ku farm kunoko komanso kumuzi kuno kwa Namikango kuno?
Ineyo ndikuchitira umboni chifukwa cha kampani imeneyi ya L2 Limited. Chifukwa nditayamba kugwira ntchito pano ndinali munthu wovutika muzambiri. Makamaka ku nyumba kwanga pokhala ndi ana zizukulu ndinali munthu wovutika. Koma nditayamba kuno ku kampani imene kugwira ntchito kufikira lero zina ndi zina zasinthako pa moyo wanga, pa banja langa, chifukwa choti ndinakwanisa kuombesa njwera, ndinakwanisa kuotcha, ndinakwanisa kumanga nyumba. Ndiye zinthu ngati zimene zozo pa moyo wanga ndikuona kuti zasintha kwambiri.
So she says she wants to testify. She's experienced a lot of change, especially in her own life. She's had to support grandchildren and children at home. So since working here, she's been able to get financially stable enough to build herself a house, to fire bricks and to build something substantial, which she's living in now.
Wow. So how many children, grandchildren living in their house right now?
Inuyo kwanu mukukhala anthu angati?
Kwathu timakhala anthu 7.
Okay, ana azizukulu 6?
Zizukulu 6 ndine.
Okay, so she's there with 6.
Okay. So she is a part-time worker, piece worker. And so she's done such a good job that she keeps getting rehired to do different tasks. But even as a part-time worker, she's been able to save enough money to build a house and support her family. And so for you as a supporter of your family, what has this meant to you to be able to provide for your family?
Inuyo kwa inuyo zakhala ndi chinthu chotani choti inuyo mpano pamukukwanisa ndithu kumalipirira zonse banja lanu kumathandiza ana anu zizukulu zanu.
Chabwino chifukwa choti ndinazipereka kusankha chisankho choti kampani imene yabwera kuno ifuna ithandize anthu. Ndiyene ndinazipereka kugwira ntchito kuno kuti ndipeze thandizo. Ndiye pochokera pa kampani imene ya L2 Limited ineyo ndimakwanisa kupeza thandizo kwalipirira ana kusukulu, komanso kampani yozungulira kuna Namikango ino ikuthandizanso anthu ambiri osati ine ndekha. Koma anthu ambiri ozungulira Namikango Farm ino akuthandizika kuchokera panopo.
So she said that once she could see the attitude of people at the farm here was wanting to help people, she really dedicated herself to working hard here, and she's been able to both pay school fees for her children and then also just generally support them. And she says she's not the only one, that many people around here have had a similar experience.
Well, thank you for sharing your heart. Is there any final words you'd like to say to the people that have helped support this farm over the years?
Kapena inuyo mai ifeta pawoza wambiri kapena mulindi mawe na lionse omaliza kwa anthu amene akumathandiza kuti ntchito iyi itheke.
Mawu alipo langa ndipempho kuti kwa anthu amene amathandiza kampani ino ya L2 Limited apitirize pamene iwo amathera, apitirize pamene pompo. Chifukwa choti akathandiza kwambiri kunoko kuthandizanso anthu ambiri kufikiranso madera anthu ambiri amene akuvutika akhoza kumapeza chithandizo kuchokera pamalo ano. Ndelanga ndipemphero kuti ayisese kuti thandizabe. Chifukwa olo ananga achazukulu anga ndiye kuti azagwira nawonso ntchito pompano nkumapeza thandizo lawo.
So she says her final words are basically a request that she would love to see the work continue. She says she'd love to see it spread to other areas. She'd love to see her own children and grandchildren working here, have this, the kind of benefits that she's experienced be experienced by many more, not only herself.
Thank you so much, Zikomo Kombidi. Thank you for sharing your heart. This is pretty amazing testimony, really, if you think about the difference it's made in her life and the fact that she wants other people to experience it in their own children and grandchildren. So this is really a very typical testimony of so many people that are being blessed by what their ability to be able to work and support themselves, because this is a very poor village and there's really not a whole lot of work or hope. And so L2 has brought that to the area. And next we have Mr. Diego, who has been with us from the very beginning. He's a full-time worker, and I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself and how he came about working for us back in the very beginning.
Okay, takulandirani bambo. Timafuna mutiziwise dzina lanu komanso inuyo mbiri yanu kuti munayamba motani kugwira ntchito pamalo pano.
Dzina langa ndi Diego Amani Mpinda. Ndidayamba kugwira no pa L2 pano pa 8 Juni 2017. Ndidayamba kuchokera ku chechi cha Namikango. Yeah.
So this is Mr. Diego. He's been with us since 2017. And he says he started through the Namikango church.
It's interesting, you even know the exact date you started.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. And so when you say you began when the church started, actually, you were here before the church started, if I'm not understanding correctly, right? You started at the original Bible study that happened under the mango tree over there? And you trusted Christ at that Bible study, right?
Inoyo kuyamba kukhulupirira Yesu kunali nthawi imeneyoyo.
Yes, yeah.
And so if you've heard our background about how that Bible study started the very first day we were working here, Mr. Diego was actually part of that Bible study and trusted Christ. And so he's been here through this whole time. And so today, you still attend Namikango Community Church?
Pakana pano mumapemphera ku Namikango Community Church.
And how do you serve in that church?
Inoyo muli ndi udindo kumeneko.
Pano pono ndine vice chair.
Mama Deacon.
Yeah, the deacon.
Okay.
Vice chair, yeah.
So you're vice chair of the deacons.
All right. Well, you've gone from getting saved in the very beginning all the way up now you're a vice chair working in the deacon committee under Abusa Damon. So as far as your work here at the farm, explain to us what you started doing and what you're doing today.
Okay. Pano pomino mungolilongosera kuti ntchito yomwe munayamba kugwira pa atangoyamba kumene ntchito ku farm kuno ndi ntchito yanu lero imakhala yotani ntchito yanu ya siku ndi siku.
Panopobe pali kusiyana ndi kale chifukwa kale no pachiyambi tidayamba kuzulano zisa komabe chifukwa cha kampani pondi kupirira idandipasaso kantchito kena chendidaphunzira nkhani ya zamazi padakali panopo chendineyono ndi plambala amene noje ndaphunzira kuchokera no pa kampani pano.
Kuti munayamba ndi zisa?
Yes.
Zisa zole?
Za mitengo.
Zisa. Okay. So he says when he first started here, his main job was removing stumps and clearing the land. So but then since then he's been trained as a plumber. So now he does plumbing work and he's employed as a plumber a lot of the time.
Yeah, he's doing our irrigation and he actually manages the irrigation systems we have. So you started digging stumps, and I remember those days because we dug out at least 150 stumps. And so you were one of our very first employees. And so what has it meant to your family to have a job and for your ability to be able to support them?
Inoyo kwanu banja lanu lapindula motani mudayamba kugwira ntchito kunoko mudapeza ntchito kunoko?
Ndapindula kwambiri chifukwa kuti no kwa kazanga kunalibeko pokhala ndakwanisano kumangako nyumba komanso olono pakumupanga tikumathaso kudya kwa tsiku ndi tsiku.
Kali mumangokhala nyumba ngati ya avongozi?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So previously he was staying with his in-laws, with his wife's parents, but now he's been able to build his own house, and he said just even to be able to, he's able to provide and able to eat day by day, actually put food on the table every day, which is a big thing for him.
Well, fantastic. You have a great story. We are so pleased how you've progressed over the years, not only from a professional standpoint, but in your spiritual life. You began as a lost man, right? And then you trusted Christ. And so we've seen you grow spiritually as well.
Amiga wambiri nkhani yanu ndiyo pasa chidwi. Kani yaza ntchito komanso za uzimu kuti inuyo mwaona kusintha ndithu pa moyo wanu wa uzimu wapa ntchito mwatuluka ndithu kayamika wambiri.
Amen. So do you have any final words you would like to say to the people that have invested in our farm over the years and made all this possible?
Inuyo mwindi mawene aliyonse omaliza osiliza kwa anthu amene akuthandiza kuti ntchito iyi itheke ipitirize.
Yes, ndili nawo kwambiri no ndipempho kwa azathu omwe no jathandiza kuti no asasiye akhalebe ali kupitirizabe kuthandiza chifukwa chona kuti no January 2 yapangisa no jani basi no janthu ochuluka kumuzi wa jeni Yesu chifukwa cha malono ano ndi akhalebe opitirizabe kuti no ambiri aziweno jeni Yesu. Yeah.
So he says, again, his final words are also a plea that just as he came to know Christ, he would beg that this would continue, so that many more people would come to know Jesus, and just as he did, that it would continue to spread and reach many more.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for spending time with us today. And so this is a very unique story. again, that started under a Bible study in a mango tree, and now it's progressed to this. And Mr. Diego also helps facilitate the every other Wednesday gospel lunch that's here. He'll actually grab everybody together, and every once in a while, he'll lead the group in prayer. So he's been a real blessing to our community and our farm. Okay, and now we have one final testimony. This is Kenneth, and I'll let him introduce himself to you and what he's doing at the farm. So, can you tell us your name and how long you've been working with L2?
Ndakulandilani bambo. Timafuna ndidziwe dzina lanu komanso inuyo munayamba liti kugwira ntchito kunoko.
Dzina la ine ndi Kenneth Imenya. No ntchito namba kugwira choka cha 2020. Kuchokera pamenepo kufika panopa ndikutha 5 years ndilipo mpano.
So he's with Kenneth, yeah, he's been here for 5 years now, since 2020.
And what kind of changes have you seen in the farm over the last 5 years?
Inuyo malo ano maona kuti mwasintha motani mutayamba kugwira ntchito kunoko.
Malo ano ndikuona kuti ndasintha magawo awiri, gawo loyamba lakuthupi ndilankhalenso lakuzimu. Kuthupi ndikuthandizira ana ku sukulu mbali ya fees, chakudyaso chimapezeka, kuthandizanso ngakhale azibale. Komanso malimidwe timangosowelera afertilizer takwanisanso kuphunzirapo kuti tizitha kugwiritsa ntchito manyowa.
Yeah, so he feels like he's changed a lot, both spiritually and in terms of what he's learned. Spiritually he's grown spiritually, and he's also just been able to care for his own family and see them grow. And then also in terms of farming, he's used to only know the basic fertilizer method, and so I feel like he's learned new things about different methods of farming and seen changes in that area.
So are you using the foundations for farming and the composting methods for farming at your own personal farm?
Inuyo kwanu mumagwisa ntchito zomwe mwaphunzira kunoko ngati za foundations for farming zaujeni za manyowazi mwazigwisa ntchito kwanu?
Ndimazigwisa ntchito.
Okay.
And what do your neighbors say?
Anthu oyandikira amanena chani akaona zimenezo?
Ndipo amaona kuti munthu amene kodi chichitika ndi chani, ndipo akusamula ndithu.
Aufuna dziwe kuti zithera motani. Okay, so basically they're curious to see what's going to happen. Is this going to work, or is it just a crazy idea?
Well, you're being a good example in the community to practicing what you learn here. So you mentioned, go ahead, I'm sorry. You mentioned you've grown spiritually. How's your life changed as a man prior to coming here? And I know you got saved as part of is coming to our gospel lunch, right?
Inuyo muntu mukozani kuti inuyo noka mwasintha motani mutayamba kugwira ntchito kunoko.
Monga ndinanena kuti ndasintha magawo awiri, nakuthupi ndimene ndayankhulalo, akuzimu monga lachitatu mapezeka mapemphero panopa. Mapemphero amene athaso kusinthaso moyo wanga kuti upitebe chisogolo mwina chifukwa choti chosaziwa mangopita kuchali chosaziwa, koma chifukwa choti taphunziraso pano cholinga chopitira kuchali chinso tikuchiziwa chifukwa cha mene chamaphunziro amene tikumalandira pano kwa lachitatu.
Okay, chifukwa chanu panopa ndi mukozani kuti ndiyani?
Chifukwa chake ndikuti ndikunziwa Yesu bwinobwino ndi zofuna zake, komanso ndikutha kupanga ubale wabwino kudzera mutumiki umene ukupezeka pano.
Yeah, so he says he feels like his own spiritual life has changed. He used to go to church, but without having really a proper reason or foundation, he just went to church. But now he goes to church because he feels like he knows Jesus, and he knows what Jesus wants him to do, and so that's why he's going to church. And
okay, great. And have you seen changes? How long have you been living in Namikango, this village? Have you been here for a while?
Munayamba kukhala ku Namikango kuno kuyambira liti?
Ku Namikango kuno namba kukhala ku chaka cha 2013. Kuchokera 2013 kusafika 2018 moyobe unali wopweteka pati maganyi nali patali pena timanyamuka kupita mtawuni kupanga maganyi. Koma chifukwa chokubwera kwa ganyi yapano tizamva kuti pa L2 tinabwera kusafunsira nawo maganyi, tinapeza kuti propera maganyi namba 2019. Tagwira nawo 2019 maganyi cha 2020 nimeyamatilemba ngati ntchito, komabe kuchokera mmene kufika panopa moyo wanga be ndiosinthika ndithu.
Okay. So it used to be that he had to, from 2013, he came in 2013, so then from 2013 to 2018, he and many others used to just travel all the way into town to look for ganyu and then come back here. But then since 2019, he began to find, part-time work here and then full-time employment.
And so
later on.
he's got the pattern where he started as a full-time employee, and because he did such a great job when we had an opening, he was able to come on as in a full-time capacity. And so what is your role today at the farm?
Inuyo lero mumagwira ntchito yanji kunoko.
Kunoko ine panopa ndikugwira ntchito ngati supervisor wa anyezi.
Okay. So he supervises the onion production.
Okay, he's our onion manager, and he's doing a really good job. Okay, then any final words you'd like to say to the people that have invested in this farm and have made all of this possible? Any final messages you'd like to say to those folks?
Inuyo mulindima omaliza.
Maomaliza atakupezeka. Tingonena kuti kwa amene tigwira ntchito malo ano a famu tiyateteze monga amene tagwirira ntchito tapeza mapindu athu tisamale kuti ana amene akubwera sogolowa azathenso kupeza chimozimozi mapindu ngati amene tikuwapezawa chifukwa ndikhumbo mwina la inenso mwina ana angati azagwira panopa ntchito kuti azapezenso nawo thandizo kuthandizira anthu ena. Ndiye ndipempha kwa amene akuthandiza famu apitirize kuthandiza kuposaposa ife amene tikugwira ntchito tisamale.
So he says he wants to just, he's pleased that what all the good that we've gained, we should really take care of it and protect it, take it seriously, and not lose all the progress that we've made. And he's pleased. Yeah, he would like to see his own children work here, his grandchildren. He wants to see it. Yeah, not lose what we've gained, but rather go forward.
So you want to see your children and grandchildren work at L2?
Yeah.
Would that make you proud?
Ngozo wanyadira dagwira ntchito kunoko.
Okay.
Muwanyadira kagwira.
Ndipo kwambiri zanyanga chifano wazapanga zimene ndapanga ine nawo wazazipanga kwa achibale awo chinankhali anawo.
Yeah, so the same way he's been able to help his own relatives and his family, he's hoping they'll be able to do similarly.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Molly, for doing the interpreting. These are just a few of the testimonies of literally hundreds of people that we've seen come through here over the years. It's amazing. If you could hear everybody's testimony, everybody has a little bit different story. But I can assure you that what they have experienced here has changed many, many, many people's lives. And so we just gave you a small sampling. You know, one of the things you have to caution yourself with when you're in a country like Malawi and you do a project like this is the need is so great and so massive. You can fall into a trap of thinking there is so much need. What difference am I going to make? How can I affect so many things? And so it reminds me of a story that I have once heard, and I'm sure many of you have heard as well, about a young boy who lived in a sea town along the beach. And after a big storm one time, there was thousands and thousands of starfish that had washed up on the beach. And so the little boy went out in the morning and he took one starfish and threw it back in and threw it back in, and he just kept throwing the starfish back in. And then an older man came up and said, "Sonny, what are you doing? There is no way. There are too many starfish here. You can't even begin to scrape the surface. You're not going to be able to make a difference." And the little boy picked up a starfish and he held it up and said, "Ask this starfish if I made a difference in his life," as he put that starfish back in the ocean. So these are our starfish. God has called us to this mission, and we wanted you to see our starfish. And we love them, each and every one, very much, and it's such a privilege to be able to have an effect, and you guys, by your support, are affecting all these people. All right, now I want to take you on a short tour of the farm so you can get an idea of how our operation works. We have divided our farm into plots. They're each 30 by 35 meters exactly. We actually have 91 of these plots. You can see the size of one of the plots right here. That's one plot. We have 91 of those. Every single one of these plots has an irrigation port, so we're able to put drip irrigation in every single field. And so the reason that they're all symmetric and the same size is because our theme here is if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So we want to be able to track production and productivity from the fields. Now this particular field is being prepared for onions. Onions is one of our main crops. And so as you can see here, we're preparing the beds for our onion crop. And so these folks will get ready to get the plantings done. I'll show you the seedlings in a little bit. But this is a typical size field plot that we have, okay? And over here next to it, you can see a more mature onion plot. This is what this plot will look like when it's planted. This is about 8 weeks of growth right here. And eventually, this will harvest from this field. And so you can see here the drip lines down in there and what the onions will look like once they're more mature. And even out beyond there, you can see our pigeon peas, and beyond that, you can see our maize. So that's actually 3 crops you can see right there lined up that we're growing right now. So that is a sample of what one of our vegetable plots looks like. Okay, and now I want to take you to another very important part of our farm. It is our demonstration and research and development and training center. We do a lot of training of foundations for farming. As a matter of fact, just a couple weeks ago, a school brought 80 children here to do a field trip. This is becoming something that's happening more often. Schools in the local area are booking to come and do tours of the farm. And the other thing we do is we're actually working with internships now through the agricultural schools. We're getting a reputation, and sometimes we'll have 5 or 6 students at a term be here and work with us sometimes for a year. And one of the things I want to point out here is our bananas. We are in the process of putting bananas in the bags and processing and getting them ready for planting. So we take the seedlings from way out there, which we didn't get to show you, and we put them in the bags for planting in the next generation. And right here, you'll see what we call sun hemp. This is what we call cover crop. It is a very nutritious crop that produces a lot of nitrogen and biocarbon for the soil. It's one of the best we found. So we grow this, and we'll incorporate this into our growing protocols for tomatoes, onions, and the like, and it really restores soil health year on year. So we're really excited. We're growing this particular crop for the seeds. Over here, you'll see the onions. So the onion plot that you saw over there, this is how they start. You'll notice that they get planted here, the planting stations, and then the seedlings will start very young, and we have to keep them covered because of the sun. The sun will burn them up. And then as they mature, they start looking like this. When they're ready to be planted, we'll take them from these fields and we'll put them over there and we'll plant them in those beds. Okay, and now the next part I want to show you is the core of our training program, Foundations for Farming. We're going to show you what we call Famutsu fields. These are the fields that we use to train this really revolutionary new way of growing crops. This is an organic method that we grow maize, which is their primary food source, and we grow without fertilizer. And you can see what our maize looks like and how beautiful this is. And there's no fertilizer, no ridging, no burning, things that they use traditional methods. And you can tell down there what a village maize looks like compared to ours. And so I want to show you some of the main ingredients. Now, this is fertilizer. And just a year and a half ago, a bag of fertilizer was 21,000 kwacha. Today, it's 125,000. This is about a month and a half of an average person's salary. That's how expensive this is. So we have replaced using this with compost, which costs about 6,000 a bag. And so what compost looks like is this. So we take maize stalks after the season's over, we mix it with weeds and chicken manure, and we put it in one of these boxes. These are 2 by 2 by 2 meter boxes. And we start that compost, and over time, over an 8-week period, it gets itself down into this. And then when we make planting stations over here for our maize, we dig a hole and we just put this in there. And then we put the seed on top of it, and that's it. And then when the maize gets this high, in the US we say knee-high by 4th of July. Well, here it's knee-high by January 4th, so that doesn't really rhyme very well. The second application of fertilizer is what we call chicken soup. Now this really is a good thing you guys can't smell this because it's really bad. It costs about 4,000 kwacha to make this. We just take raw chicken manure and diffuse it in this drum of water, and we put 1 cup, mix it with 7 parts water, 1 cup on each plant. And you can do that 2 or 3 times. This is it. So we've replaced all of this with this, and look at the results right before your eyes. When we bring Malawians out here and we say that they can do this with no fertilizer, they don't even believe it. And one more thing I should point out about this field, there's 58 lines. So 52 of those lines represent 1 week every year. One line can feed a family of 6 for 1 week. 52 is for a year. The other 6 are a tithe. So we're trying to teach a visual tithe, 6 rows that you give back to your church, and the other 52, a family of 6 can eat on for a year. And if you look at the size of this, people can't even believe it. So with the maize field, we also duplicate that same size field here. This is a soya, this is a cash crop. So this is a legume. We're teaching crop rotation. So they will actually be able to sell the soya from this field, and it's actually able to, next year it'll go over there, vice versa, and we're teaching crop rotation, which they don't do. And so lastly then, we have created a chicken house, which you can't see, and that chicken house has 20 chickens in it, and that chicken house will produce enough manure for one box for that one field. So it's a total ecosystem. And over here, what we're trying to do is set up what we call a model village. Our dream here is to not only have our famutsu fields, but to have medicinal plants. Artemisium, for instance, which is used to cure malaria. And then here we have moringa. Maybe you've heard of moringa. Moringa is used, it's a super vitamin, a superfood. They can crush the leaves and put it in their porridge, in their food. And so once this is done, we have banana tree, we have papaya, we have orange, and we have lemon trees. This will be a total ecosystem with all the members of the food pyramid. And over here is where we do our research and development. So we're testing new types of broccoli, cauliflower. Before things go in production, we test them in these fields. And we test how they grow. We take records and metrics for that. And one other thing I want to point out over here is the electrical wires. We are so close to getting electricity. This is a long story, but God used our farm to bring electricity to this very remote village which had no chance to ever have electricity. So keep praying, because we're days away from having this turned on, which is not only transform us, but this entire village. And over here, you can see the end of our sunflowers. These things are towards the end. This is an experiment. And right here, we have what we call sisal. And so this is what we would call yucca plants in the U.S., but we actually take these and burn them and use them as thread. We use this to do tying up our tomato crops and things like that. And we use them to tie some of our maize bags shut. So this is how we make our own binding materials. Okay, so now I want to show you why maize is so important. I said it's their primary source, so we've got a real treat for you. Lovey, why don't you take over and explain to them why maize is so important and how that's used?
Yeah, so we thought it would be so fun today to bring some maize in from the field and show you how we prepare maize and how it comes in from the farm and how we prepare it every step of the way for our tables. So here's the maize. So we've already husked it in the field. So we're bringing it in. And now we have to remove the husks with our thumbs. And you can imagine after some hours, wow, this is really tiring on the thumbs, but and then we have to pound it. We have to remove the outer hard shell from the maize. And then it needs to be winnowed to remove all the chaff. And then we're going to pound it again into a flour. And now at this stage, we call it ufa. And then once it's a fine flour, it's ready for cooking. So we're going to add it to boiling water. And we're going to stir it hard, hard, hard. We want it to be the consistency of, you can say, mashed potatoes. Thick, thick. So you can imagine a big pot feeding a whole family could even be more than this. So it's hard work. And then it's ready for plating. And then it's time to feed our family. And so you can see they're going to take it in their hand. They make it into like a ball, and they'll dip it in their beans if they have greens of any kind. And they're enjoying their delicious sima. At this point, we call it nsima. And that's how we prepare our maize from farm to table, or can I say from farm to mat.
All right, now I want to show you our brand new 900 square meter building. The Lord blessed us with this, and we do a lot of things with this. So I want to turn it over to Ross so he can tell you what goes on here.
Well, thanks, Chris. Yeah, welcome to our PPC, our Product Processing Center. Mr. Ngulinga has just arrived with a trailer full of produce straight from the field. He's bringing in about 800 kgs worth of product, and all of that will be weighed and measured by Fortunate, who's our manager here in the PPC. Uncle Pat is here as well. He's here as the associate sales manager. He'll be informing Fortunate of what he needs at the sales office and exactly what kind of product he needs. That way they know how to grade. Within this center, we do grade by the quality of the produce itself, but then also by the weight and by the maturity as well. So whether our clients want green tomatoes or breaking or ripe tomatoes, we can accommodate any of those needs. And then over here on this side, they're grading out between the yellow and red onions, and they'll also grade by size, and they'll be pulling out any of the wastage onions that there may be. As we look around the facility here, we can see these large shelves where we can store about 3 metric tons of onions at a time. We also have a large pallet over here in the corner where we can store about 60 metric tons of grain. Right now, obviously, it's not in use, but we can just tip it up in order to still utilize the space that we have. Further into our building, we have space for expansion. We hope and look to have cold storage at some point. That's something that we're excited to install here in the future. On the other side of that wall, we have a tool room where we can park and store our tractor and other implements that we have, and then as well as manage the tools and further facilities that we have. We also have offices in that back corner for our managers. And this building has served us very, very well thus far, and we're very grateful to have it. It allows us to take care of the different needs that we have on our farm. So, Chris, thanks for letting me show you around. Let me hand it back to you.
Thanks, Ross, for doing that demonstration. Well, we're almost done. I just wanted to give you one final look of the farm as the sun is setting out over the hills. You can see our beautiful farm. As I mentioned already, the maize, our pigeon peas, maybe you can see our solar well way out there in the distance. These purple houses are our well houses, and way down there you can see our banana plantation down there. So this gives you an idea of what the farm looks like as the day is coming to a close and the sun is setting. So I just want to thank everyone. Make no mistake, what you saw here today, God gets all the glory and honor and credit. It's all because of him. But we also want to thank our investors. Many of you watching right now have participated in funding this project, and we are so grateful. We wanted you to see firsthand what God is doing with your investment. You've made this ministry possible. Your investment over these years has enabled us to generate revenue to cover most of our costs and at the same time help fund the mission. People are supporting their families by working as God had intended. People are hearing the gospel. People have an income enabling them to support their local church. And we are helping fund the mission from revenue generated in Malawi by Malawians. Every product you see here, tomatoes, onions, bananas, or packaged tomatoes, 5% of the revenue that we generate from everything we sell goes directly to fund the mission, church planting, and pastor training. Your investment dollars are reaping financial benefits and revenue generation in a very impoverished nation. There is no really any words that we have to express our appreciation. Since our objective is self-sustainment, we limit our fundraising activities. Basically, we do one fundraising event a year, and this is it. So thanks again if you have previously invested in Malawi Talent Fund. This year, our annual investment focus is aligned around two areas. First, revenue expansion in higher margin products, and secondly, mission longevity. So regarding revenue expansion, we are looking to expand our operations into animal production. We want to create facilities to raise chickens and pigs. In the 3.3 acres we have across the street we just recently purchased, we are going to target animal production. Eventually, we want to expand into butchering and selling packaged meat. We also want to expand our tomato packaging business. We can add different products to this packaging, corn, sweet corn, mangoes, and things like that. And lastly, we want to improve our ability to grow quality, higher value products like broccoli, cauliflower, and lettuce. And a lot of those things require greenhouses. So you're going to receive a card that's going to lay out all of our investment targets and why we're doing those. So if you have any questions about any of that, please let us know. The second focus area is mission longevity. Unfortunately, many times, missionaries in developing countries start strong and then that mission comes to a painful end when the primary missionary retires or leaves the field. We call these one and done missions. We do not want this farm to be a one and done mission. We don't want that to happen here. So future missionaries will be required to maintain and expand this project well into the future. Lovey and I are nearing retirement, and we need folks to pass the baton to. There are opportunities for the expansion of this model here and in other regions of Africa. We need folks to run our animal production, our packaging business. There is so much opportunity, but Joni and I need successors. And we need others that can help with the expansion of the vision that we've laid out. So this leads us to our second investment focus for this year, the creation of a missionary campus to support future missionaries. We have identified land and have plans for 3 missionary houses. You will see that itemized in your handout. And I don't have time to go into the challenges that missionaries face with the basic housing needs. A missionary campus will help reduce those challenges, reduce the time that they need to focus on raising living expenses and reduce their costs. Along with those lines, there are very many open doors for other missionaries to come here. These empty chairs here, maybe you can fill those chairs. If you feel like the Lord is calling you, there is an opportunity here to come alongside and to be part of the succession or expansion plans. Maybe there's someone listening this morning that could fill these chairs. We are actively seeking people called to this field. So let me quickly read you something from God's Word that is really something that is close to my heart. In John chapter 4, Jesus is talking, and he says, "My meat is to do the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. Say ye not, there are yet 4 months, and then come the harvest? Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already with the harvest. The people were saying, oh, we'll get to it in 4 months. No, what we're saying is to lift up your eyes, search and look upon the fields, because they are white right now for the harvest. And then he goes on and says, and he that reapeth receiveth wages, and gathereth fruit unto eternal life, that both he that soweth and he that reapeth may rejoice together. And herein is the saying true, one soweth and another reapeth. I sent you to reap that whereon ye bestowed no labor. Other men labored, and ye entered into their labors. I love verse 38 because it is absolutely setting the stage for a mission that is started from one person and then taken over by another. I love how he says it, and ye are entered into their labors of it where another man has started. So we want you to really pray and think about, is this an opportunity for you? Prayerfully consider this field. Maybe you can fill some of these chairs. There are other ways you can get involved also. Come visit us. Your church can bring a mission team. Maybe this is a place for missionary training and internship, or maybe your family just wants to come and visit my Lovey and I and spend some time with us. Thank you again for joining us this morning. If you have any questions, just ask us on our website or reach out and we'll be glad to answer your question. On behalf of all of us here in Malawi, we love you and hope to see you soon.